I first learned about generosity from my aunt and uncle. When I was a child, I came from a broken home. My mother was a single mom, struggling to take care of her children, working 2 jobs and barely making ends meet. My aunt and uncle didn't have children of their own. They lived up in New Jersey, and they offered to take us in. They wanted to help take care of us and give my mom an opportunity to go back to college and get a college degree. She wanted to become a nurse, and that way she'd be in a better position to take care of her family. She said yes, and they took us in. We moved to New Jersey, and my aunt and uncle, they loved us like their own children. They provided for us, clothed us, loved on us, and really became our surrogate parents. While we lived with them, they paid for my mom to complete her college education, and all the while the plan was between them that my mom would reimburse them when she was able to. They made her sign promissory notes throughout the process, and when my mom graduated from nursing school, as a graduation gift to her, they tore up the promissory notes. They absolved her of all the debt, and I think that's the first time that I had seen generosity. We didn't grow up as Christians. When we became Christians, when we attended the pastor's class, that was the first time that we'd heard about being generous to a church. We hadn't heard of a tithe before.
We immediately made the sacrifices to be able to start tithing. It was not even a choice. We went back, we reworked the budget, we cut things out, we cut our own spending, our own allowances down, and from that point on we were tithing, but that was just the beginning. And from there we went back and we decided that we were going to make serious changes. I moved here because I love to fish. It was a passion of mine. It was something that it was the number one thing that I wanted to do. I worked to fish, and God showed me that was all about me, and that's not what life is. It's not all about me. And then ultimately we sold the house to make a change, to change our lives, so that we could give more money to the church.
I remember the day you came home, and you said that you weren't the same person. Your heart had changed. God was changing your heart, and you didn't want to live anymore on the river because you just didn't feel that it was where He was leading you to spend your emotional investment, your financial investments, and it was a scary day. It was scary at first, but all the while, as beloved children of God, He was watching us at the same time, continue to not pant after Him, to want to spend time with the things that He cares about, or not spending as much time in the Word as we are fishing or riding horses, and so His work of changing our lives, and for us, the biggest change required, financial changes, were things we didn't want to do. We wouldn't have chosen on our own accord to sell a house or to do without things that we loved, because we loved those things and we enjoyed them immensely. And I'd say that we went through some of these lifestyle changes with heels dug in deep to the dirt and kind of being tugged along. But as I mentioned earlier, you kind of get a sense that's what God wants with your life, and then you argue and you fight over it, either with your spouse, but mostly with God, until...
Definitely. I was like, no. When He first prompted me, I was like, no, what am I thinking? I'm not selling the boats. We did this. We moved here on purpose. This is what's the plan.
Exactly. So it's miserable fighting and for a long time, because these things that give us pleasure have a great hold on our heart. But God has a bigger plan for our lives. When you grow closer to God, your heart starts to want the things that He wants. It just happens that your heart grows, it becomes tender, and you care about things that you never cared about before.
God freed me from my self-absorption, and after all of that, I look back on it and I see that what has freed me from myself. Has the sacrifices that we've made. Why is that any kind of big deal? It's not a big deal. Jesus gave His all for us, and for me to hold on to my self-absorption was it was sinful, and Jesus showed it to me, and He gave all for me. So I see that this is just a small thing for me to give up for Him.
Yeah, I don't feel it. I'm particularly special, or we're particularly special for made these changes in our lives. I still will daily struggle with my own selfishness and my own selfish desires, and then I'm reminded of Jesus and His work for us, and I don't feel generous at all compared to Jesus. He gave up everything to be nothing, to come and save me, somebody who would chase after other things all day long, but in His great kindness and lovingness to me and my family. I want to try to do things that God chooses for us, for our lives, because I know that they can only be generous and kind and loving things in His plan for us.